Alright, this is probably something that's not worth making a video about, but it's pissing me off the more I think about it, so I'm going to make a video. There's a common theme among flat earthers on YouTube. They'll pick up some flight or some regular travel route and they'll try to use it to justify their belief that the world is flat and that it just doesn't make sense as a globe. And this guy, who is ironically named My Perspective, and I say ironically because he lacks perspective, thinks that one flight that was from Taiwan to LA, now he thinks it's from Bali because he's fucked up, proves that the world was flat. What happened was a pregnant woman was on board and she went into labor, so they had to divert to Anchorage, Alaska.
Hi folks, My Perspective here. This is a short video clip about a Taiwanese woman who gave birth to a baby girl on board a flight from Bali to Los Angeles. The account tells us that the plane first stopped on Wednesday in Taiwan, and a doctor got on board the plane on Wednesday. The next day, on Thursday, the plane landed in Bali, and this woman got on the plane on Thursday, and then the plane then flew from Bali to Los Angeles. And 6 hours into the trip, the waters broke and she delivered on the airplane. So the question is, why did the Chinese Airlines flight land in Alaska? And the only reason is because the earth is flat.
Right, the only reason is because the earth is flat. And he uses this distorted map to indicate that the route on a globe doesn't make sense because it's such a long distance, this diversion. So I'm going to scroll forward a little bit and show you Dickhead's flat world. And you see on the flat disk of the world, according to My Perspective, the plane took off from Bali, was en route to LA, and Alaska is right in the path, so it makes sense on the flat world. Well, like I said, he got everything wrong, including the point of departure, and I think he got that wrong because if you look at the Daily Mail, which is the appears to be the news source that he was looking at, they say Bali to LA. So where does Bali come from if that's not the point of departure? Well, let's look first at the Huffington Post. In the Huffington Post, you'll see that the physician who was on board was a UCLA resident physician, and she was on her honeymoon in Bali. And on this particular day, she was on her way back from her honeymoon. So it really doesn't make sense that she would have flown to Taiwan only to fly back to Bali en route to the U.S., does it? It makes more sense that she boarded a plane in Bali. The other woman involved, the pregnant woman, was Taiwanese, so it kind of makes sense that she boarded a plane in Taiwan. Now, you'll see at the beginning of this Huffington Post article it says, according to the China Post. Well, a lot of these articles got their prime story from the China Post because it was a Chinese story, being the China Airlines. So let's go to the China Post, and you'll see that they say it was it flew from Taiwan International Airport at 11:50 p.m. Wednesday, and it was scheduled to arrive the next day because 11:50 p.m. it's 10 minutes left in the day. So let's go on and look at flights. If you Google either flights from Taiwan or flights from Bali, you'll find that if you want to fly from Bali, you can't find any non-stop flights. They all stop somewhere, many of which stop in Hong Kong or Taipei or something like that. Now, there may be a flight somewhere in the world. Somebody may offer a non-stop flight from Bali to LAX, but I can't find one, and China Airlines does not offer such a flight. They do, however, offer a flight that stops in Taipei. So let's have a closer look at the Taipei flight, and you'll see if you want to take China Airlines, what you do from Bali, what you do is you board an Airbus A330 in Bali to Taipei, and that's a 5-hour flight. and you hang out in the airport for 3 hours, and then you board a Boeing 777 from Taipei to LAX. Now, this is actually a different day I'm looking at. This is Sunday, November 8th. But this is the story that it was a Wednesday flight that took off. But these are daily flights offered by China. They offer two daily flights from Taipei to LAX. One is in the afternoon, and then the other one is this 11:50 p.m. flight that is shown here, and that is the one that is referenced in the China Post story, the 11:50 p.m. flight. So, you know, that pretty much demonstrates that the flight took off from Taiwan. Now, if you look at the map, instead of looking at Dickhead's map, let's have a look at the globe. And I don't know why. Well, I guess I do know why he didn't use Google Earth to show the globe route, because it makes too much sense, and it doesn't push the narrative that this guy wants to push. So let's assume first that there was a flight from Bali, and let's have a look at what such a route would be. Let's go over here and find LA. There it is. So if you were flying from Bali to Los Angeles, that's what the route would look like. Now, the diversion took place about 2/3 of the way into the flight. So about 2/3 of the way would be, oh, I don't know, somewhere in this vicinity, vaguely. Now, if you were the captain and you're flying along, 2/3 of the way into the route, and the woman's water breaks and you have to make an emergency landing, where would you go if this is the place you're at? You would probably land in Hawaii, right? Because that's the nearest place. You wouldn't go to Anchorage. So let's move the marker now from Bali to the correct point of origin, which is Taipei, and that's in the north of Taiwan. And that's the actual route, which Dickhead would have known if he had bothered to look into it a little bit further. Now, on this route, suppose you're 2/3 of the way in and the woman's water breaks and you want to divert somewhere, and you're going to be about here. You would divert, guess where? To Anchorage, fucking Alaska. It's right here. So, the route and the diversion makes perfect sense if you're looking at a fucking globe and not a deformed map, flat map of the world. Now, what pisses me off about this is, there are all kinds of strange beliefs in the world, right? So, and people are entitled to believe what they want to believe. This My Perspective guy, he might believe that aliens are implanting probes in his ass for all I know or care. It's his business. But if you're going to produce YouTube videos and use stories in the media to push your narrative, the least you can do is get the facts in those stories correct, especially if they're so easily verified as this story is. And if you fail to do that, if you're going to twist things around to fit the story you want to tell, and you're going to refuse to correct yourself later on when it's been demonstrated that you're full of shit, you only make yourself look like an asshole. And that's what this guy's done, and that's why I decided to go ahead and make a video.